You are now listening to the Talent Planner Show. This show is for growth-minded SMB leaders who want to minimize their people issues to maximize their company's growth and profit. How they do this is through talent planning. And on this show, we help leaders master talent planning through interviews with other talent planners, leaders that are executing talent planning, Steve and what he's seeing in the market, and our best tools, practices, and methodologies that we use with clients to execute talent planning. I'm your host, Jordan Ogren, the marketing manager here at MyTalentPlanner, and I'm joined by the Road Warrior, CEO and founder of MyTalentPlanner, and a talent planner himself, Steve Van Remortel. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Jordan. Good to be back. Good to be back from the road. Good to be back at home.
Yeah, definitely, because you were on the road. That's how you get the name. So a section we always jump into before the main content on this show is the one thing. So as Steve's going out there working with leaders, observing leaders, he brings back one thing, and sometimes it's from his own life. So Steve, what is your one thing for SMB leaders this week?
Just the importance of especially in today's world, the importance of the skill or the learned behavior of resiliency. That as leaders, we get obstacles thrown in our life and in our business every day. And what I've seen, especially this week with things that have transpired in my life and working with other leaders, is this ability to become aware of the obstacle, become aware of the challenge, and then given a time period, 24 hours, 48 hours, to reposition that obstacle as just another thing we have to overcome to achieve our goal, achieve our objective. And it takes a different amount of time for different people. As I coach and work and develop leaders, we all go through challenges and issues in our life. And this ability to reframe an obstacle into an opportunity is a gift. But also I think you can learn it as well. And I've had to get better at it. Let's put it that way. As I work on my resiliency and I work with other leaders on their resiliency, it's, every time something falls in front of us, it's just another thing we have to overcome to get to our objective. And that is being a great leader.
That's a good one, Steve. I actually was listening to someone speak on being fragile, resilient, and anti-fragile. And he asked the question of, if you were a box in the mail, what would be on your cover? Would you have fragile, don't throw too hard, I might crack under pressure? Or is it resilient, or is it obviously even a better of that anti-fragile? To your point, I take things in like a fire and I use that to grow, to get bigger. So that's cool.
On
that you
my
brought
box,
that up.
it would say can't break.
Will never break. Yes.
Yeah, will never break.
That.
Instead of fragile,
like
you can't break this, right? Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. That's great. So, Steve, do you want to jump into what we're going to be discussing and kind of the goal and objective of today's episode?
Yeah, this is the Talent Planner podcast, and our objective here is to work with and share ideas with SMB leaders on how to win the battle for talent through talent planning and drive growth of your people and your organization. And so today is a fundamental podcast regarding that topic, and today it's about how to create a talent plan. We have all these plans in our place. We've talked about the last couple podcasts. We have all these plans in our life, right? I have 401k plan, a vacation plan. I got a big plan for this coming weekend with some of my kids coming home. But we don't plan for the number one issue that's kind of hindering the growth, the full growth potential of our organization and of ourselves, and that's the people issues that keep coming at us, right? So today, we're going to go through how to write a talent plan. I'm going to walk you through the process to develop a talent plan, to work upstream to solve those people issues before they ever impact your business, and to realize the full growth potential of every person in your organization, and the full growth potential or revenue potential and profit potential of your organization. So that comes from talent planning. And as we've talked about, talent planners, they're winning the battle for talent because they're being proactive. They're working upstream on it. So that is what we're going to cover today, Jordan.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Before we get into the real nuts and bolts of it, of actually creating it, when or why would a company, obviously you talked about it, to win the battle of talent, some of those kind of more aspirational, but like when does a company, why does a company say, let's build a talent plan or let's create a talent plan?
Yeah, well, once a company has its strategy in place or its vision, strategic vision and financial vision, as we call it, So if they have a 3-year strategic vision and a 3-year financial vision, now they can put a 3-year talent plan together. So why would a company develop a talent plan? Because it's going to enable them to accelerate the growth of their organization and their people by being more proactive, working upstream. We believe talent planning is going to be this gigantic category in 2 or 3 years, and it just makes sense, right? Why wouldn't we put a talent plan in place? So why would a company do it? Because it switches our mindset from being reactive and having these things come at us to be proactive and to solve them before they ever impact the business. And so you're winning the battle for talent, you're driving growth of your people in your organization, and you're dominating your industry because you have the least amount of issues related to talent and people than any one of your competitors, and therefore you're going to accelerate right past them. That's why.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that stood out to me, Steve, is that crucial after the strategic plan or after that strategic vision is created, right? That's when, okay, we know where we're going. In the bridge analogy that you use is so great. Now how do we get there from our current place? So do you want to tie it to the talent planning process that we've just talked about in the previous podcast of where in the process, what step maybe, and what's before and after in the process for creating the talent plan?
So there's 7 steps to the talent planning process, and first step is prep. Second step is team development exercise, which I just had a team do just a breakthrough team development exercise the other day. There is nothing that they can't talk about now when it comes to developing the best strategy for their business. So second step is team development. Third step is creating that strategy, that strategic and financial vision. The fourth step is creating the talent vision, which is that future structure that needs to be in place. And then the fifth step, the leader starts putting the talent plan together for the leadership team. And then in the sixth step, the leader works with each department leader, each of their direct reports, to put the talent plan together for their departments, which ultimately includes the individual talent plans, right? Last week in our podcast, we talked about the 3 levels of talent planning. You have a 3-year talent plan for your leadership team, which lays out all the things you have to do, and we're going to walk through how to do that today. So you have a 3-year talent plan at the leadership team level in each department, and for each individual, an individual talent plan, and you put those in over time. It's not like we're going to put everyone on it, but over time we do that.
So then, Steve, you've already started to kind of touch on the levels of the talent plan, but what is in the talent plan? We've talked before about kind of the questions or components, but let's go deeper on all 8 of those and maybe the difference between the levels, but definitely first touch on kind of the 8 components within a talent plan. Like, what is in a talent plan?
All right, so just a little show and tell here, Jordan. We like to do here on the Talent Planner show is just go right into the software of MyTalentPlanner. And so the 8 things that are in a talent plan. So this is in the software. This is in the demo company. So if you want to log into the software and actually check it out, we can give you a link, log into the demo company, and you go down to the talent bar and you click on talent plan for the leadership team. And this is what I'm going to walk through you today on how to create a talent plan for your leadership team. But the same process to create a talent plan for your leadership team is used for each department as well. So if you're the company leader, if you're a department leader, this is how you create a talent plan. So the 8 things that are in there, first is, what are the strengths of our team? Like, what are we really good at? What are the weaknesses or blind spots of our team? Who are the high potentials we need to retain? What skill set gaps do we need to fill through development or hire to achieve our vision? What are the development priorities for each of the direct reports or each of the team members to kind of fill those skill set gaps? What are the specific hires and promotions that we're going to make to the leadership team over the next 3 years to achieve that vision? And then what's the session plans do we have to put in place by the end of this talent plan over the next 3 years? And then what are the confidential notes and things that you need to get done to execute your talent plan? So those are the components of a talent plan, Jordan, and shortly I'll walk through exactly how to create your talent plan.
Do you find, Steve, as you've created and used talent plans, Do you find, I've asked this question before, but have you found a certain question or a few questions to be more beneficial, or is it just the thinking through all of them that gets you in that mindset to be proactive, or is there a few questions that are like, this is a really good one to kind of start with or tackle?
I think it's really the high level idea of putting a talent plan in place that is the big breakthrough for me. It's that mindset, right? That, hey, when we put a plan around something, we're going to solve it. We're going to make it go our way, or the outcome that we want, right? So this whole concept of putting a talent plan in place, I mean, one of the things we look at is what are the weaknesses or blind spots of our talent plan, and we're going to resolve those through the talent plan, right? So that's kind of cool. I always think laying out the prioritized promotions and new hires you're going to make over the next 3 years on your team is really eye-opening as well. And one of the things that's cool about that is, and we experience it here at MTP at MyTalentPlanner, is we were looking to hire a customer success specialist, and we clearly defined, we knew it, and then we came, when we found the right person, we made the move, right? We hired him. So knowing what you're going to be hiring so that you can be on the lookout for it, you can network for it. It's not, we don't have to build a candidate pool. We'll just go find this person, through our day-to-day interactions in a lot of cases. And so I think it's the overall concept of talent planning, number one. But be honest with you, as I work with companies and putting them on the software and we go through the talent planning process, it's different for every company. If we have a really fast growth company, obviously that hiring piece is important. If we have a company that has a lot of long tenured employees, the succession planning or the retention piece is going to be really important. So it really does matter where the company is in their life cycle, if you will, and where they are in their journey on strategy and talent planning.
Yeah, I just wanted to iterate, which I thought you were going to go to, is that it is customizable. The questions, you can change them a little bit to fit you, your organization, as you're saying, which I think is really critical before we get into how to create it, is knowing, hey, this isn't a template that you can't change and all the questions they have to be there. No, it's a kind of a start, and then obviously if the template fits, just use it as is, but make it fit your organization. Is that accurate, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I was with a client all day yesterday, and it's, here's best practice. Here's what we see the companies that are winning the battle of talent doing. And, obviously that we're modifying things all the time, evolving our processes and so forth. But this is the best that we've seen to this point, and then make it your own. Make it your own.
Yeah, that's good, Stephen. And now this is, I think, where a lot of the good insights come, is the process to create it, right? So you're going to jump into that, and that's where I think a lot of that value comes for the leaders, through the process of creating it. So you want to touch on that, Steve?
Sure. I'll go back to the software here as well. So there's several resources that you have access to that are available to you to create the best talent plan for your team. And a lot of those are in MyTalentPlanner. So if you use behavioral science, you will have the behavioral science results of each person in MyTalentPlanner. We can turn them into a graph form, or we can put them in here in the reports. And so the first thing that you have when you're talking to or when you're putting your talent plan together, is you really have objective data regarding each member of your team. Obviously, you have how they've performed, how you've interacted with them, all of that. You have your experiential, content with them, but you also have all the subjective data too, so that's really helpful. You have the team wheels. You can look at those as well. You have your current structure in the organization, which is right here in the demo company. This is the current org structure. You have that as well as you build out your talent plan. And most importantly, you have this future structure, which was in the third session in step number 4, where the planning team put together the future structure that needs to be in place to achieve our vision. So this was the structure that needed to be in place for our company to go from 5 to 15 million. And now that becomes your target. That becomes your talent vision, right? So the talent plan is the bridge that moves you from where your current team is to the team that needs to be in place in this functional structure to achieve that vision. So, and then another tool that we have in the software as well as 9box. So the ability for you, be it at the leadership team level or in each department, the ability to really look at potential versus performance, and recognize that someone that's a high performer with lower potential, we need to retain. Someone that has high potential with lower performance, we need to develop. We need to move directionally across on the performance continuum. And so there's a ton of tools within MyTalentPlanner and within the process, even if you don't use the software, within the process to help you put this talent plan together. So, and then the last thing that you have to really help you put this together are your one-on-one meetings with each individual. And so, and this is something I'm completing in 2 weeks with a company. I'm actually taking part in the one-on-one meetings just to kind of help them. And so you sit down with each team member, you look at their behavioral science results, you talk about their current performance, you talk about the current role they're in. I always have the future structure up on the screen, in the software, and you really just start having a conversation with them about, what are their career goals, what are their aspirations, what do they want to accomplish professionally, what do they want to accomplish personally. And these are all things that then you can drop into their My Individual Talent Plan down here at the bottom, and obviously continue to build on this in your one-on-ones with them. And then it's really getting their overall input on what the talent plan needs to look like for us to achieve that, to execute that strategy and achieve that vision we put out there. And everybody has their different take and different input. And so the leader sits with each person and goes through this process and gets a bunch of information. And it really helps the leader then shape out the talent plan for their department. So those one-on-ones are really important because this isn't about what's just best for the company. We really want to know what each team member wants to accomplish in their life and in their profession. And so that one-on-one is huge to make sure that it's a win-win for both the company and the employee, the team member as we call them, because that's what it's about. It's about a win-win together. Let me walk you through. So EnzoPac was the last company that I ran and was a member of the leadership team, and this is where I learned a lot of. If you listen to previous podcasts, the birth of talent planning really happened when I was running this organization, and it was a contract manufacturing food company. And so in looking back, I looked at the strengths of our team, our leadership team. Our maintenance leader was a rock star. I mean, our strategy, our core strategy was delivered by him and his team, and he was a rock star. So the way it worked is I'd get a call from Land O'Lakes or Nabisco or Kraft, and they'd say, "Hey, we want you to look at packaging this product." And then I'd take it out to my maintenance leader, and he would say, I can do 50 of those a minute, package them, and it would take me 3 people, and that allowed me to put the price together. So every time a project came in, I went to him, and he figured out how to do it for the customer. And so he was a rock star. We also had an R&D leader that was very good at knocking off formulas and really enhancing formulas, and that was a strength of ours. And then we did have a strong HR, organizational development leader that she wasn't there initially when I got there, but we did hire one eventually, and she played a huge role in the growth of our business because we were accelerating so fast. So those were the strengths of our team. And so as we're working through this, we'll put the template in the show notes, Jordan, and they can download the template and really start walking through this with their team, for their team as I'm going through it. What are the weaknesses of your team and the blind spots? And anytime you want to see what we want to say there, you can just click on the eye, and it kind of explains what you're looking at here. In our organization, early on in our journey there, it was a 5-year run. We took the company from 5 to 30 million. There was conflict between our sales and operations team. Part of that stemmed from the fact that the operations leader was not a good fit for the position and our culture. We also we had a lack of communication from our finance department as far as giving us good data, timely data. And, over time we fixed these blind spots. And then we really had a lack of role clarity in the operations department. We didn't necessarily know who we were supposed to go to for what. And so these were some of the blind spots that the team had, and we resolved as part of this talent plan. As far as high potentials, we needed to retain Todd. I mean, he was the man as far as executing for our customers and delivering our differentiation. Our differentiation, or our competence as we call it here at Stop the Vanilla and My Talent Planner, is Your competence is why a customer chooses to do business with you. And our competence was our ability to switch our lines over faster than anyone in the industry. And so, Land O'Lakes would call us in the middle of February and say, we got hammered on Amaretto hot chocolate last night. We need you to switch the lines over. And Todd and his team would make that happen. Boom. We'd be running new product in 15 minutes. We'd be shipping product to their distribution center that afternoon. That was our differentiation and what took us to 30 million. Our sales leader, Nick, was very strong, especially as a sales hunter, and our HR leader, Cheryl. Those were three people that we really needed to retain in our team. What skill set gaps we had, we did not have anybody in our team that was trained in lean, and we were a manufacturing company. We had about 20 people in our office and 100 people out in the facilities, and so we needed to get that skill set to deliver our vision. Technology, we were in the early stages of adopting technology. We actually put in a MRP system when I was there. It was the most painful, greatest learning experience of my life to be part of an MRP selection process. And then our customer service leader, was a skill set gap for us. And then you can see I put together the development priorities for each of the direct reports. So our operations leader was going to get trained in lean manufacturing to fill this skill set right here. Our IT person was going to get some training on technology so we could put our technology plan together, or what we call our technical stack, our tech stack. And then we had eventually we needed to fill that customer service skill set void as well. So we filled a lot of those through development, and then we filled some through hiring. So these were the three major things that happened over the last 3 years of executing our talent plan. We hired a new operations leader. That person had strong lean in their background as well, and that really took us to a whole nother level. We promoted Nick to VP of Sales and Marketing, and we promoted Cheryl to VP of Organizational Development. Those were three specific moves we made over that time period of 3 years. And then we really needed to make sure we kept Todd and have a good succession plan so that the rest of his maintenance team knows how to do what he does. We needed a succession plan for our finance leader, and eventually, over time, we needed to put a succession plan in place for our ops leader. And then there were some things that I needed to do. We needed to finalize a talent plan for the leadership team. We needed to start the search for the ops leader. I needed to put development plans in place. I needed to talk to a maintenance leader, Todd, about his succession plan. And so these are all the action plans that I carried out and notes I wanted to keep. And so that's the thing about talent planning is you put your first draft together and then it keeps evolving, Jordan. So it keeps changing, it keeps evolving, and it's easy to tweak a plan. It's tough to recreate one every time something changes, which in today's world is daily. So that's a really quick overview of how to create a talent plan. Use the resources, have candid, transparent one-on-ones, take a first run at this, get away from it for a couple days, take another run at it, but keep building out your talent plan, keep executing it. And really, when we execute in sprints, which is how we execute the strategy here, you have a 3-month sprint or a 4-month sprint. What I always have done and continue to do is I put my action plans that may be confidential, I put those in here on what I'm going to get done over the next sprint. Because this single page can only be seen by you, the leader of the company. If you're a department leader, your department leader peers can see your department plan, but nobody in your department can. And so this is really your place to really work upstream and talent plan, become a talent planner, and really build out your team and have it be a high-performance team running on all cylinders, executing the strategy.
Yeah, Steve, I do want to touch on just something you were saying there about the evolution of it. I feel putting it, obviously having it in Excel, Word, or anywhere else, you can clearly update it. You can find that file buried somewhere in the database. But the nice thing, at least I found from here, not that I'm creating talent plans, but just having things in front of you. So you're doing something else in some other window, but you have that talent plan just a click away. That's so crucial. And you also touched on just that accessibility. It's there. So maybe not the talent plan, but the talent vision or different things you can share with the right people or with as many as you want to just create more strategic and clarity across the organization.
Yeah, what I'm finding as we just launched here a couple months ago and we're putting companies on the softwares, everything's in one place. So I don't have to go anywhere, right? I mean, if I'm sitting down and putting my talent plan together for my leadership team, obviously I have that tab. But when I do my one-on-ones, I can come down here to the individual talent plans. I also can look in what's going on in their department and how their department is performing. I can go to the current structure. I can go to the future structure at any time, the 9-box, the wheel. So it just makes MyTalentPlanner makes talent planning very efficient. It automates it, and it allows you to access it anywhere in the world because it's in the cloud. So if you are traveling or you're not in the office and you have a one-on-one coming up, you just do it right on Zoom or Teams or whatever your company uses, because this stuff travels wherever you go. And I don't have to find assessments on a different server. I don't have to dig for files. I don't have to look for where our strategy is. It's all in one place. It's efficient. And all that leads to what? It leads to results. It leads to results. And that's what really technology is supposed to do. It's supposed to make the job to be done, as Jordan loves to call it, the job to be done, efficient and automated as much as possible, but bring big results. And there isn't a more important plan in today's environment than your talent plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it tackles your number one issue. Definitely, Steve. Before we wrap it up, though, I just had a question. Okay, now as a leader, I just created it. Let's say if it's in the software, then it's in the software. But let's say maybe I use the template that's in the show notes. I print it out. I answer it. What do I do once I finish the talent plan? Are there steps once you finish it to do stuff with your team or to get people? Like, what's the next steps after you finish it?
Well, as we talked about, you're going to have what you need to get done in the next sprint. So if your sprint is 3 or 4 months, what do you need to get done in your talent plan? So in this case, I needed to start the operations search. So that was one thing I initiated right away. The other thing is that as you're doing your one-on-ones, we recommend best practice. A one-on-one is to do your one-on-ones monthly. And so as you're doing your one-on-ones, you can update the plan. If there's a change in the market or you promote someone to a different position, or someone new comes onto your team, all those things get you back to updating your talent plan. And as we say here at MyTalentPlanner, your talent plan, it's an evolution, not a revolution. So it is going to evolve. But it's only going to get better over time because you don't have to pull out an Excel spreadsheet and update it, and you can't share it with anybody, right? No, it's all live. It's current. You can share it with anybody at any time, and you can execute it on any time, anywhere. So talent planning is how we're going to win, how we win the battle for talent, and MyTalentPlanner automates and scales that in your organization.
So if you're not currently seeing this, you're likely not watching on YouTube. So if you want to see the software as Steve and I were talking to it, just hop over to YouTube, type in MyTalentPlanner, and there will be all the podcasts. And this is episode number 8. So make sure to check that out. And I think it's time, Steve, to kind of start to wrap this up with your one takeaway. If a leader listened to this and they're going to leave with one thing, other than maybe create the talent plan, but you could use that. What is that one thing for that leader to do, to think about, to change, to get better at?
Yeah, so if you have even one direct report, so if you're a company leader or you're a department leader or you're running a region or an area of the company and you have one direct report, my suggestion, my takeaway, my one thing is to download the talent plan template that's in our notes and put the talent plan together for your team. And if you have one person, the focus is going to be on how do I develop that person? Where do I need to get them to over the next 3 years to really fulfill what we need to do in our department or we need to deliver in our organization? But I want to encourage you to become a talent planner because the benefits of talent planning are gigantic. They're huge. And this is I can just tell you, this is going to be a skill that when you master talent planning, you are going to excel in not only as a leader, but as an organization, as a department. And so my one thing for you, take the template, start your talent plan, and lay out what you need to do over the next 3 years to build your team into where it needs to be to achieve to execute the strategy and achieve the vision of the organization. It's as simple as that. Do it manually. You don't need the software to get started here. Obviously, as you want to scale it and automate it, that's where the software comes into play. But become a talent planner. That's what we do here on the Talent Planner podcast, right, Jordan?
That's the title of it. Steve, so as you're talking about that, I couldn't help start to think maybe the first thing I should do is figure out where the level is that I'm going to create it. Because to your point, if I just have one direct report, I'm on that lowest level, which is fine. But just understanding I'm creating that level 3, that individual talent plan with this person, where if I'm a department leader, but I'm not the leader of the organization, maybe I could have that second level. Or if I'm the leader, definitely creating that first level. I thought that could be useful to think through as you're thinking.
Agreed.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today. Sadly, no more time left on it. So if you want to receive an email, check the show notes when a new podcast comes up. If you want to learn more about talent planning or My Talent Planner, there's really 2 ways to do that. The first way, head over to MyTalentPlanner.com, and there's a few different things you can find. There's a free book on talent planning you can read. There's a product demo, and you can get 14 days free on the software if you just want to go in there. Or you can also, if you want Steve to do a demo with your team, or you want to get a special Enzo Pack login so you can go check out all the stuff we were just talking about, you can email Alex at MyTalentPlanner, and he will help. Alex, our new customer success specialist, will help you get a login for that or get a calendar invite with Steve. So as always, the future of talent is talent planning. And those who win the battle of talent are talent planners. Thank you for joining us. See you later, Steve.